Well, welcome. We can't see you, but we know you're there. And again, don't be afraid to use the chat function if you have any questions because it's being monitored. We've got a great group of undergraduates with us today, and I will just sort of go around in the circle that I see, and I see Katie first. So some of you have done this before. Introduce yourselves to the group and tell us a little bit about your background and your major and your experience at Stony Brook, and then I'll follow up with follow-up questions should I have any. So Katie, take it away.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Katie. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a junior, currently studying psychology, and I'm in the Honors College. I am a resident on campus, and I'm in Tubman Hall.
So, Katie, when you came to Stony Brook, did you come as a freshman?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. And you live in a dorm?
Yes, I live in Tubman Hall.
Okay, so did you always know you were going to be a psych major?
I had that pretty set by the time I entered college. So I applied as a psychology major, and that hasn't changed.
Okay, wow. So what I want the potential undergraduates coming to Stony Brook to know is that majors do change. I don't know if the people around this circle will find out. The average amount of major changing is at least 3 times before people settle on a major. And then we can also talk, and you don't have to talk again, Katie, we can keep going around in a circle, but we can also talk about the importance of a minor and other or multiple minors as the case may be. But so we'll go on from there. But if students also, incoming students might have questions about the better, choice perhaps of living on campus versus commuting, we can also talk about that as well. But let's go on to Sophia, who's going to tell us a little bit about their background and major and etc. Anything else you want to add, Sophia, would be great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia. I am a sophomore majoring in psychology with a concentration in women's gender and sexuality studies, although I'm planning on changing that to a double major. So that's exciting. I work as a student assistant at the Center for Prevention and Outreach here at Stony Brook. I'm also in the Honors College, and I am a teaching assistant for Psych 240, which is survey and social psychology. I am also a TA for Honors 101, which is Introduction to Stony Brook for our first year Honors College students.
Sophia, you seem extremely busy. The list of all of your accomplishments it exhausted me. So let me ask a question, because I think it's really important that potential students know about the opportunities for TAing. So can you talk a little bit about what that's like for you? I mean, you're a sophomore and you're already TAing, did you say for a psych class, or talk about that?
Yeah, so this semester I am a teaching assistant for survey and social psychology, which is one of the very first classes I took as a freshman in my fall semester last year. The reason why I was able to become a teaching assistant is because I did perform well in the class, but I also made some really nice connections with my professor. I went to office hours a lot, which really helped me understand the concepts that we were talking about in class, as well as like build rapport with the professor and get to know her background, and she also does research. So it was a really nice opportunity.
I'm really glad you said that. I know Stony Brook's a huge school for a lot of students who might be coming here, and of course, psych is one of the most popular majors, if not the most popular major nationally. But I'm glad you said you took advantage of office hours. I'm dying to know now who your professor was, but do you want to share that with us?
You might know her. It's Dr. Marcy Lobel.
Oh my God.
Um,
Marcy's a dear friend
yeah.
of mine. It's fantastic. And now I know you're a women, gender, and sexuality studies minor major. So we need to talk, sometime soon. But yeah, Marcy is just an incredible professor and a wonderful teacher. So, psych can be a major or a minor, I believe, right, Sophia? You could probably minor in it as well. So one of the things that I want the students to know who might be coming here is that it's always an option for you to minor in more than one field. It sort of expands you. It allows you to move beyond what it is that you feel like you need to major in, or how you're being pressured by other constituencies to major in a certain field. So keep that in mind. So your core curriculum is more diversified. Dominic, who is in a public arena right now, we're going to have you talk next. And we understand that you're at the airport, but we are very excited to hear from you, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi, everybody. Again, sorry about the noise. My name is Dominic. I'm a human evolutionary biology and economics double major. I'm in the Honors College, Dean Student Advisory Council. I'm also on the executive board. I'm the treasurer for the rowing team at Stony Brook. And I'm also a pre-MBA student with the College of Business. I'm on the fast track MBA program for my economics degree. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Speaking back to what Mary Jo said, I came to Stony Brook as an econ and bio double major, and then I switched to human evolutionary biology because I kind of just found that that's where my passions took me a little bit. It wasn't something, sorry, it wasn't something that I necessarily knew about coming into Stony Brook. I didn't even know that that was a major. But just like my classes, experiences here, talking with like some of my other student friends, kind of led me in that direction. And so basically what I'm doing now is kind of studying the like economics of survival and I guess the evolution of culture across time.
Dominic, that sounds so interesting. That's what you find out when you come to college. There are so many different kinds of biology that you can study. And then you're planning to go to get a master's in business. Is that what your goal is?
Correct. Yeah. Tentatively, also going to medical school after that. Human evolutionary bio is a really great major for some people who are like on the pre-med track, but don't necessarily want to go into either academia or like laboratory work.
Okay.
If they want to do something that will still fulfill a lot of their bio requirements, but they aren't necessarily going into, you know, a field in the like medical field that is, very heavy, like maybe chemistry and physics and stuff like that. Human evolutionary bio is a really great degree for that. And so I would encourage any students here who are kind of maybe taking an interest in this, look up the Department of Anthropology website at Stony Brook and kind of give like the course overview a little bit of a look over, because I definitely think it'd be something that in high school we might not have a lot of exposure to, but it's definitely something that you might find that is your passion when you get here.
That's really great. And, colleges call these things, sometimes they're housed in different departments, these disciplinary areas, but you'll find as you go further in your studies that all these disciplines tend to cross into and over each other. So they become less sort of solely focused in one area. So I'm glad you talked about that, Dominic, that you're doing multiple things. I don't want to put pressure on you to speak again, but I'm going to do it anyway. You mentioned you were part of the rowing club. Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to be doing something else besides academics while you're at Stony Brook? I mean, life begins for you guys after 6 p.m. That's when I see all the students around and outside. Talk about the importance of your work, as a rower, or what were you doing the business end of it, correct?
Yeah, so staying true to my economics degree, I am the treasurer. Um, you know, life might begin after 6 p.m. for some people, but for me, life starts at, 5:30 in the morning when I'm getting on the water in Port Jefferson for rowing practice. In high school, I was a student athlete and I pursued that pretty hard because it really gave me an outlet to pursue something and work on myself that was not at all whatsoever academic focused. And so coming to Stony Brook, I had absolutely zero experience with the rowing team back in my hometown or coming to Stony Brook. So no experience whatsoever, but we're a no experience needed club. So here I am now, my third year on the rowing team. Um, you know, it's definitely something that I was able to meet a really good group of people. Everyone is also very busy, academic focused. So that also kind of lends itself to getting a really good core group of friends. I mean, I can't even tell the number of times that my study group is also the people that I'm working out with in the morning because, across majors, um, we just want to meet up together at whether it's the student activity center, the student union, the library. There's always someone on campus who's relatively close to where you are. And if you just kind of want to put out there hey, I'll be studying here for the next hour or two, if anyone wants to pop by, it's a really great way to, um, you know, work on, I guess, yourself athletically, stay in great shape, of course, but then also make some of those connections when you get to school, so that you feel a little bit less alone when you're coming here because I'm an out of area student. So there was no one from my high school class that came to Stony Brook. So I was kind of starting from a clean slate in terms of friends. And so I definitely recommend getting involved. And if you think that athletic clubs are something that you might be interested in, pretty much all of them are no experience needed. So it's definitely great to kind of look into those things if you're new to campus or you're kind of coming from out of the area like I was, and you're just oh, I want to find some friends to maybe play a sport with, but then also hang out with outside of that.
Thanks for mentioning that. I always try to tell students, especially the ones who are intensely academically inclined, to make sure that they get involved with friends and in clubs that you don't necessarily count, right? In ways that you feel like you have to tick off everything. There's so much pressure placed on your generation of students. So I'm really, really happy that you mentioned the importance of the way in which you can make friends. And if you're not athletically inclined, there are other kinds of clubs that we could also talk about. And I'm sure some of you in the group have experience. Zoe, you're next on the list. Tell us a little bit about your major, what class you're in, add to what we're talking about now.
Okay. I'll add and I'll try to answer a few of the questions I see in the Q&A as well that I can speak to. So I'm Zoe. I am a junior. I'm a double major in political science and mass communications. I saw somebody ask about double majoring between colleges. Political science is in the College of Arts and Sciences. Mass communications is in the College of Journalism. It is possible. It is a lot of work. I also have 3 minors, which is a lot, but I saw questions about minors too. I came in with quite a few Stony Brook credits because my high school is very close to Stony Brook. So we had programs like that. So instead of graduating early, I decided to take on more academics. I saw a question about the difference between a minor and the major. A minor is usually a much shorter program. Majors can be 36 to 40 something credits, usually 15 classes approximately, whereas minors are more 18 credits, 6 classes. It's kind of just a little add-on to show that you have experience in the area. My minors are in journalism, filmmaking, and linguistics. I also changed my major quite frequently. Before COVID, I thought I was going to go to music school or film school. After COVID, I came to Stony Brook as a globalization major. I changed it to linguistics, and then I changed it to political science, and then I added mass communications. So it's been a journey. that's all for academics, I think. I've worked in a few of the departments on campus. Right now, I work for the Office of Alumni and Donations. I love working on campus. Everybody I've worked with on campus, no matter the department, has been wonderful. I've worked in academic advising and study abroad as well. And the clubs that I'm involved with kind of change based on semester and when I'm available. But right now I am in Model UN and I do Pink Gloves Boxing, which is like a boxing and self-defense course aimed towards women, which has been a really fun experience. So yeah, that's some about me.
So Zoe, where is the Pink Gloves class held? Is it at one of the gyms or?
Yes. So Pink Gloves, it is it's aimed towards women, but I believe anyone can join. It's just marketed that way.
Okay.
It is in the recreation center, the main recreation center. You go once a week. There are multiple times offered. You start at level 1, which is what I'm doing now because I've never done boxing before.
Right.
Really never went to the gym much before this. You start at level 1 and then each semester you can level up. And it's just really cool. Basics to boxing, really great community, a lot of fun.
Excellent. Oh, wow. That's not, and the idea of pink has to do with the weight of the glove? Is that you start off at like 2 pounds and you move up or what?
I think the weight of the glove stays the same. The gloves, though, as you start with black gloves and as you advance, you literally get pink gloves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Understanding
It's-
that. Okay.
It's about like a female empowerment, I guess. It's part of
Right.
the self-defense courses that are offered by the University Police Department, but they're
Wonderful.
taught by students.
Excellent. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I mean, I just remember being a real egghead as an undergraduate student. I was an English major, and it was always in the library reading, but I was also a gym rat. It was what saved me, just to do other things that were not related to my studies. So I'm glad many of you are involved in some form of activity outside of your studies. It's super important. Michelle, you're next on the list. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're majoring in and when you came here, etc.
Sure. Okay. So I'm Michelle. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a biology major currently with a minor in philosophy. I like to think that the minor keeps me a little bit rounded from all my more STEM major classes, but I'm a junior. I'm also a commuter, so maybe I can speak a little to that aspect. The two most important extracurriculars to me right now, I'm a TA for organic chemistry. One, because I really love the class, but also because I think that the camaraderie between TAs is really driving the course and helping students like get excellent grades and just improve their progress and understanding in the course. But I'm also one of 2 student leaders in a student research organization known as IGEM. So who we are so IGEM stands for International Genetically Engineered Machine. So it's an international competition for over 400 universities internationally. Stony Brook happens to be unique in that we're one of those 400 universities that participates. And so, yep, yeah, that's what I like to talk about.
Okay. So I have some questions for you now. First of all, talk a little bit about organic. I always heard, never took it, that organic chemistry was a really tough class that was you sort of like the way in which people were shoved out of the major. Am I wrong in that thinking? Is it, or am I thinking inorganic chem? Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I think it definitely has a reputation for being
Okay.
very, very hard course, but I have to say the way it's structured at Stony Brook is just phenomenal.
I have heard good things.
Yeah, it's engineered in a way where students can do really, really well. So I'm pretty sure, like, despite how hard the course is, the course reviews are always positive because the professors, the TAs work so hard in just helping out students do well in the course in general.
That is wonderful. And I'm so glad you said that you were a commuter. And, you know, I have been one myself, at least for the first 2 years of my college experience. Can you give the students a real sense of hope even though you are a commuter, how you can still get involved on campus activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So I happen to commute 40 minutes away, which is not a short distance, but I could definitely say that I'm still involved in a huge amount of activities on campus. Both iGEM and TAing for organic chemistry is sapping a lot of my time, but between commuting back and forth, I find that there's like enough time in the day for everything. So if you are a commuter, I would say don't be afraid of putting yourself out there and joining clubs, organizations, activities, or really anything
Good.
that interests you. Yeah.
Excellent. Does anyone else, did I talk to all of the students, or at least at the beginning? Now, does anyone else in the group of students want to add anything based on what you heard your fellow students talk about now, that you thought about adding for the listeners on the webinar? Anything?
I can briefly, I just wanted to add, I'm also a commuter. I commute from about half hour away. Like I said, my high school is very close to Stony Brook.
Okay.
Growing up. And I agree that I feel like it gets a lot of a reputation of, oh, if you commute, you won't have like much of a social life or whatever. And that is absolutely not true. Just like everything in life, it's kind of like what you put in, what you get out. But we also have a very active commuter student association, which has
Good.
events specifically for commuters. Anyone can come, but I've been offered free food so much from them. We have commuter Halloween, so that you know, because a lot of people have Halloween events in their dorms, but we have a specific one that commuters can attend. We have drive-in movies specifically for commuters to come in their car and go to. There's a lot of opportunities for commuters, and I love it.
I'm so glad you said that, Zoe, because I don't want people to, because we have a large percentage of commuters. And every time I walk into the classroom, I always ask, which of the students are commuting, which of the people are staying on campus? Tell me about your backgrounds. Let me know if you have children, you know, what's going on in your life, etc. And just because you're a commuter does not mean that you can't be actively involved, which we have 2 examples of that right now. So thank you for adding to that. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Katie.
Sure, I'll speak a little bit about what I do on campus as well. So I don't think anyone touched on the topic of on-campus employment. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but I do have 3 jobs right now. The first one is in the community relations office on campus. So this is between Stony Brook University and the hospital. The second job is an international peer mentor at the Office of Global Affairs. And my third job is I'm a Division of Student Affairs Fellow. And all 3 jobs I found through Handshake. There are many opportunities available for students if they want to get involved in on-campus employment. There's different kinds. Obviously, I don't think I'm the best person to explain them, but I just want students to know that you can take on multiple jobs. You'll handle it, and it's available for you guys. On top of this, I also volunteer as an EMT on campus. So we have the Stony Brook Volunteer Ambulance Corps. I also hold the position of secretary. And yeah, I came in with no experience. I didn't even know what EMS was. And they train you enough for you to get involved to the point where you hold an officer position. So I think if you really dedicate your time into what you love, it's something that will fruit into something where
Yeah.
you can have a great time on campus. And obviously, there are other activities that you can partake in. We have a great cultural club scene. So I'm also in the Taiwanese Students Association as the event coordinator. So if you are someone who really wants to connect with their culture or explore new cultures, feel free to attend those clubs. We often have food fundraisers. We have events where you learn about their traditions, different cultural aspects that they want to offer. There's a lot of free food. And yeah, everyone is really friendly, really inviting, and we all join because we want to share our culture. So never be afraid to step into an event like that.
I really love the fact that you brought up the cultural clubs. There are many, and also the LGBTQ clubs. I want students to be cognizant of those. And not all of your employment is going to suck up 60 hours of your day. I don't know how many hours you work, Katie, but I'm assuming it's not 40 hours a week. and sometimes in some of these jobs, you have time to focus elsewhere. So I really encourage the students to try to get an on-campus job. It's a way for you to get to know people and to work alongside others. And then you meet other students that way as well. Thanks for mentioning that's really important. Anyone else? Any other questions in the chat that we should answer now?
I can speak a little bit about my kind of day in the life at Stony Brook.
Oh, do that.
So I actually Thursdays are my busiest day, so it kind of is fitting that I'm talking about this today. But I do take quite a few classes on Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. I have my first class, which is Psychology of Addiction in Frey Hall. Then after that, I am being a teaching assistant for Honors 101 for our first year honors college students. And then right after that, I have my weekly TA meeting for Psych 240, which is survey and social psychology. Then I usually have lunch with a friend during my 1 hour break. And then I have another psychology class. It is Psych 339, which is special topics in clinical psychology. And this one is surrounding psychotherapy, science and practice, which is pretty fitting because I definitely in the future am planning on becoming a licensed mental health counselor. So this is one of my favorite classes this semester. Then I have like another 1 hour break. So usually during that time, I'll get some work done. Maybe I'll like go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, which are both on campus. And then I'm actually going to be in class as a teaching assistant for Psych 240 in Javits Lecture Center, which is the really big lecture halls that you think about when you're going to college. At first it can be intimidating, but you get used to it pretty quickly, and it's really nice to meet other students when you're there as well. Yeah, and then I'm almost done with my day. I have like 2.5 hours break, so usually I'll like take some time for myself. Maybe I'll like take a walk, or I'll use Wolfie Rideshare, which is like the bikes on campus that are free for students to use, which is one of my favorite little gems on campus. And then I have my e-board meeting for Psychology Student Alliance, which is a club that I am the PR officer for. We have meetings every other Thursday, both surrounding academics and more fun activities. So our next meeting is actually psychology of personality. Everyone's going to be taking some different personality tests, and we're gonna almost like do like speed friending or match people based off of what kind of personalities they have. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, and then after that, that's the end of my day.
Are you saying to me that this all happens on Thursday? Or is it
Yes,
throughout
every
the
Thursday.
week? Oh my God. And here you are. That's impressive. And one of the things that I noticed, Sophie, when you were talking, is that a lot of people go into the major of psychology really not understanding how different areas of psychology there are within the department. And it seems that you're also interested in clinical to some degree, right? Because you want to become a licensed therapist. So that's one part of it. And then some of the other work that you're doing suggests other areas. So the classes sound really fascinating to me. And I know why students get attracted to taking them. What a long day you have. So you do notice them. It's a big department. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I was gonna say like originally like I had no idea that I would be like so in love with social psychology.
Right.
And so it was really, it's nice to like, I thought I was like set, like I know I want to study psychology, but I never realized like how many like subdisciplines there are.
There are.
So that's another part I really love about the major.
That's excellent. Very good. Anyone want to in the group want to add to that aspect of it, or the different kinds of ways in which you've learned to do your major and to recognize the sort of complexity of your major? Because what you end up finding out is that that's not what you thought you were majoring in. It's so much bigger than you thought. Does anyone want to add to that? Any of our students?
I can definitely speak to that. Like I said, I changed my major a whole bunch of times. I started in globalization, I switched to linguistics, and I landed on political science and mass communication. What I really wanted to study was international relations. I realized that political science aligned more with that than globalization studies did in the end. Both are wonderful programs, just different required courses. In political science, you're required to take statistics, which while I did not enjoy, I see the value in.
You got through it.
I got through it. I took it over the summer. I got through it.
Exactly.
But political science, I was also surprised by the sheer amount of disciplines. A lot of people in the political science major are doing American government because they would like to go to law school. There's also a political psychology concentration where you learn how people make different political behaviors. I'm currently taking a class in political psychology and I love it. It's probably one of the hardest classes I've ever taken, but it's really interesting. There's also political philosophy, which I don't know anything about political philosophy, to be completely honest, and international relations, which is what I landed on, which is just learning about how the world interacts with each other. I took a linguistics course my first semester to get my SNW. That's Stony Brook curriculum. It's like a gen ed. That's your science gen ed.
Yeah.
I took a linguistics class to cover that, and I really ended up loving it. So I was in linguistics for a while, but I realized I was more interested in how humans communicate than like the basis of language itself, which is what you really get into in linguistics, like how language is formed and structured. So I dropped linguistics down to a minor and added communications. But really, the point here is I learned so much that I didn't know existed just from taking classes, even for classes that you think, oh, general education, when am I ever going to need to know this? If you keep an open mind about it, you could find something completely new, because I had no idea like what I was getting into there, but it really changed the trajectory of my college path. Met some really interesting people, learned some really interesting things, but yeah,
and I think it influences how your trajectory going forward. I mean, what we think about what we're going to do when we're 17, 18 can change. Hopefully it does when you're 20, 21, 22. How many of you are, I mean, I know that Dominic mentioned wanting to go to med school, an MBA, etc. How many of you are thinking now, I know some of you are sophomores, no pressure, of further graduate study or a certain kind of degreed program after you finish your BA or BS degrees? What are you thinking? Yeah, Katie.
Oh, I just thought we were taking a vote, but I can speak a little bit to this.
Oh no, I'm gonna make you talk, Katie.
Okay. So just like Dominic, I am on the pre-med track, which is something I can talk about a little bit because I know a lot of people might think that you have to major in biology or chemistry to go on the pre-med track. That's completely not true. You can major in honestly any major as long as you do the prerequisites required for pre-med or pre-health in general, anything pre-dental, pre-PA, all of that. So like me, I'm a psychology major. I take psychology classes alongside these biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, all of those. And I wouldn't say it's hard to balance those because I think as a psychology major, I really enjoy psychology. So it's easy to distinguish the two, especially when I'm taking a class that I know I have an interest in and a class that will help me pursue my career. I know other students have taken linguistics as a major and are on the pre-med track. I have friends who are history majors on the pre-med track. Stony Brook really opens the option to you and has great advisors to help you kind of plan out your 4 years if you want, and how to incorporate your major into something that you want to pursue in the future.
Good. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I think the gen ed classes, or core curriculum classes, whatever they called it in different universities, they're really fundamental to your overall education. And I always talk to the students, you have a major, and that is a certain amount of credit hours. And you can't ignore all the other credit hours you need, because it's 2/3, 1/3 ultimately. So you have to really care enough about your minors. That's why I think it's a nice idea to minor in a different area. So you're invested in that as well. And it helps you become a much more well-rounded person in general. A lot of people who are pre-med often, in fact, major in other areas, including sometimes music, linguistics. There seems to be a connection between those area studies that I've noticed over the years. I've got pre-med students who are also music majors or art majors. So you'll see these connections. They seem like they're not connected, but in fact that they really are. What about, can you all talk to, you have had to had classes at this point in your careers where you were just bored out of your mind and it was not a good experience. How do you get, can you draw from your own wisdom now, how do you get through those kinds of classes? Because not everything is going to be a wonderful experience, and it could be a combination of factors influencing your disenjoyment of the class. Can you speak to that? Yeah, Dominic.
Shout out Michelle, because the tenacity that it took me to get through organic chemistry my freshman year was large, you know? Like, I think that one of the like most impactful things that I've learned so far at Stony Brook is like the more nuanced that your classes get and more intricate, like you're not going to be taking classes like you did in high school where like your class title is English or like your course title is I don't know, like social studies. Like you're going to be taking classes that are a lot more specific to your major, your top, like certain topics for your major, certain requirements. And so in that, you might not necessarily find that everything under that like whole umbrella of whether it's, you know, your major or what you thought that class would be, maybe not everything that you're learning during that class is the most interesting or the most exciting to you, but ultimately it's a requirement and like you have to get through it. And so I would say that, you know, to enjoy your time more, um, definitely finding like different groups of people to study with is impactful. Kind of finding other people to bond with through the pain is one way that I kind of got through like some of my harder courses, but also um, looking at like those ways of like thinking and kind of working around that in a way to challenge yourself in a way that will kind of test your strength for when you get out into the real world. There are going to be like assignments or things for work that you aren't going to want to do in the real world, but it's not something that you can necessarily quit and give up on. And so, you know, for me, whether that was coming to class a little bit more dressed up than some of the other kids because I was there to focus and get my education. And, you know, if a way for me to enjoy going to class was to dress up for myself, then I would do that. You know, sitting very close up to the professor so that you can't really go on your phone or like doze off, you know, inherently, like you're just going to be paying attention a lot more. You're going to be focused in that class. You're going to be listening to things. And then that's kind of what leads into, oh, maybe you had a question because they brought up something or like on a topic that is interesting to you that you're like, oh, I wouldn't have heard that if I wasn't paying attention. So then you go to office hours and then you kind of start establishing a connection. So it's really a snowball effect of, you know, you're going to confront like certain problems that you can't exactly run away from. And so it's kind of up to you to discover some of those like learning solutions for how you can take those experiences and kind of like mold them to your own positive ones, because I really think Stony Brook is a great place for doing that.
Yes.
It's not necessarily, there isn't one path for every single person. And so I think that, you know, coming from my high school, it was like you're taking the same courses with like the same people since freshman year because you guys all want to be like New York State Regents diploma recipients or something. And so it's a very like formulaic. And yes, if you look at our undergraduate course bulletins, you might see like, oh, I have to fulfill all of these classes. Like it's like everything's planned out for me. But it really is what you make of it. And there are so many different ways to explore your passion. So whether that is, Mary Jo, like you were saying, whether that is picking up a minor that seems like multidisciplinary or something, pursuing things that seem totally opposite ends of the spectrum. There is a lot of ways for you to kind of challenge yourself. And then also when you're meeting challenges in the first place with even getting through your major, you know, I think that Stony Brook is great because I've learned so many good problem solving and thinking strategies through my time here. And
Great.
so, yeah.
That's wonderful. When you said real world, I always try to tell the students, you know, being a student at Stony Brook is pretty real. And I know what you mean, the distinction that you're making. And I try to let the students know over and over again, the classes you are taking is your work. I know you work outside of class. I know some of you have 3 jobs, but it's, if you see it as a form of work that you enjoy and that you want to do, you won't see it so much, your classes so much as a burden. And you also mentioned, Dominic, office hours. I can't tell you how important that is for students to speak to their professors or their TAs, depending on the class, as much as possible. Don't alienate yourself. And that can be a very strong feeling in your freshman year. Make sure you try to make connections with your professors. The work has been done in that area. When students connect with their professors through office hours, their grades are stronger because they've made a commitment to trying to improve, even if it's a class that's very difficult to get through, like organic chemistry, or one like we started off with talking about, one that you might not be interested in. You know, I'm glad you mentioned you just got to find a way through. And I know that all of our students who are represented here today, I get the impression that you kind of like school, and you're good at it. And I understand that. Not all people are. Students feel like they have to go to college in order to get the degree. Because if you look at, you're an econ major, minor, Dominic, you understand, right? That there is a distinct connection between having a college degree and your economic reality over the course of another generation. So I recognize the sort of need to get an undergraduate degree, but that can be connected more positively to doing as best as you can, and not being fearful about changing majors if this is not the one for you. Have we covered the bases here today? Do you want to add anything else? Are there any questions in the chat, Amanda, that we should answer?
Yeah, we have a really good question. If anyone can answer, if you think back to your first year in college, you know, you left high school, you're starting this new adventure. You don't have to be specific, but just in general, the question is, would you recommend anything that you would specifically recommend doing or avoiding? So I thought that was a really great perspective.
Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about, because we were talking earlier about how sometimes we have classes that we take and we hate. But I think freshman year, one thing, I took 2 classes. One was an art history class and one was an intro to philosophy class. I am now a philosophy minor and I dropped the art history class. So I just want to say, like, that taking varied experiences, whether that's in your classes, your academics, maybe even like your social scene, you decide to join a cultural club that you've never heard of before. Maybe you decide to join a organization that you know nothing about. In fact, I think it's even encouraged amongst freshmen to pursue a very, very diverse field of extracurriculars. I know I work really closely with some research professors because of the work I'm doing this semester, and a lot of them have told me that sometimes they don't even they consider other upperclassmen for research positions instead of freshmen, because they really want freshmen to go into Stony Brook thinking I want to spread myself out and see and explore everything there is before honing down and saying, this is the commitment I'm going to make for the next like 4 years. So.
Very good. Is there anyone else who'd like to pick up on that? Yeah, Sophia.
So since I'm a sophomore, this is all kind of really fresh for me. No pun intended. But I mean, looking back, I mean, when I was moving in this semester, even my dad was like, I wish I took a video of you when you were moving in your freshman year versus your sophomore year. Because this time I was like, yeah, like I'm moving in, bye. Like, and I remember there was this very weird feeling once my parents left the first time when I moved in, like, what do I do now? Like, like I'm just like dropped off. But what I would say to avoid doing is, not doing something because you don't feel comfortable doing it or it's out of your comfort zone. Ultimately, there are so many ways in which like you're gonna have to like overstep your own personal boundaries in order to put yourself out there, whether that means having to be more chatty with your professor and spend more time outside of the classroom, or if it could be going up to someone and saying, hi, like I like your outfit. Like that happens a lot when you're a freshman. People will try to make lots of small talk with you because no one knows each other and everyone's trying to make friends. So take advantage of that. Everyone's super friendly, especially like in the very first part of freshman year, because everyone is trying to make friends. So don't try to hold back in that, and also please take advantage of the resources that we have on campus. There are so many things like counseling and psychological services, student health services, Center for Prevention and Outreach, which I happen to work for. We do a lot of awareness about physical health, mental health, sexual health, domestic and sexual violence. We also like give out free health products. So like some of the things I'll make is like menstrual hygiene kits. We make flu and cold kits, first aid kits. There's also the Career Center where you can go whether you want to try to get connected to jobs on campus or an internship for your major, or even when you're graduating, getting connected to a more professional job that you can plan for. So there's all of these things that we have on campus that you really should take advantage of because it is part of your tuition, but it's also really helpful.
That's great. Anyone else want to contribute? Yeah, Katie.
All right, so I believe I said this to someone in the Q&A, but I know there's this common misconception in high school where your teachers tell you like college students or college professors won't baby you and you're gonna have to do all this on your own, or this is not accepted in college. I don't really remember what they said. I just remember it not being true. They don't baby you. Like professors won't hound you down if you miss a deadline. That's a little bit on you. You have to reach out to them if you want an extension. A lot of our intro classes are in rather bigger sizes than what we're normally used to. So it's not 30 students, it's maybe like 200, or sometimes it's 1,000 split between online and in person. So I think if you are not a good time management person, that's something that college will kind of force you into being, because you're going to have to look at the syllabus, write down the deadlines, everything won't be like in your face every second that a homework assignment is due or there's a test next week. If the teacher or professor is nice enough, they might give you a reminder. They might hold a review session, but you should really start using something like Google Calendar or Notion to keep your dates straight. Definitely work on, if you're just coming to college and you're a freshman, work on trying to keep anything related to activities, deadlines for like applications or anything like that. Try to keep that in your head or write it down on a to-do list, because when you make friends in college, not everyone's going to be in your major, not everyone's going to be in your clubs. So obviously, if you had a friend group that used to do everything together, that's not necessarily the case. You might be participating in something that your roommate's not participating in. And I know in my high school experience, I had one friend that I essentially did everything with. So if she forgot something, I would tell her. If I forgot something, she would tell me. But I found that a lot of the times in college, it's such a big group of people that you won't find someone who's the exact copy of you, if you know what I mean.
That's
So definitely keep that straight. But on that note, make sure that you always try things that you want to do. So as a freshman, it's really welcome that freshmen try everything. If this means like applying to a club that you never thought you would join, or just trying out many of the sports clubs. I know I did fencing in high school. I tried fencing here, didn't really find the vibe with it, but I moved on to something else like EMS. Like it's not always something that you have to continue from high school. Make sure you try out things that just spark your interest. You're going to be putting 4 years of your time on campus. Make sure it's something that you're passionate about.
It's great. It's really great. Yeah, Dominic.
Yeah, speaking to what everyone else has already said, like just to kind of wrap it up in a bow for like do's and don'ts. Do's, absolutely sign up for things and go to things that you don't think that you would like ever try in like a million years. You're gonna surprise yourself with what you do. Like I can't even like name the amount of things that I've gone to or signed up for that I was like, oh, I'll never get this opportunity in like a million years again. Like I really got to go to it and take advantage of it while I'm here at school. And then don'ts, don't compare yourself to others as much as we fall down that path. Like comparison is really the thief of all joy. And, coming from like, I had a pretty strong high school background. Sorry. Yeah, so I had a pretty strong high school background. I graduated top of my class, valedictorian, got into the honors college, did very well in high school. And then I came here and in my freshman year, I got my first C. I say first because I've gotten multiple C's. I don't want people to think that if they're perfect in high school that they have to do perfect in college.
Exactly.
And just like comparing yourself to other people really is like one way for you to just kind of, I guess, snowball and overthink and kind of have imposter syndrome when you get to college. Like there are so many new changes when you get here that also questioning like if you're on the right track is like just adding to this like crazy mix of like emotions that are going on. I mean, I can't even think of the number of times I wanted to transfer my freshman year. I was just like, I'm so unsettled. I don't have any roots. I don't have any roots here at Stony Brook yet. Like I'm only here, like I've only been here for one semester. Like I can transfer back home. Like it's super easy. And my parents were like, just try and stick it out. Like keep doing more of like your clubs that you're doing. Keep like taking some classes that you can like get involved in and stuff like that because it really is like if you compare yourself too much, you're going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to be stressed, and you're going to kind of close yourself off because you're going to be like, I have to focus. But it's really all about like I was talking about before with athletic clubs, it's really all about balance. And so getting involved in those things that you kind of think maybe you don't have an interest in, or you might not think that you necessarily want to do, those sometimes end up being like the most impactful experiences. Probably the singular like best experience that I've had so far at Stony Brook was one of the questions that we got in here in the Q&A was one of the most like, or what are like some of the more fun like events on campus. And for me, I thought like I've loved Brookfest like the last 2 years that I've been here. Brookfest is like a really big concert that we have in the spring. And this past spring, we had Young Gravy come to campus. And I actually got to dance on stage with Young Gravy because of no one in, okay, whatever happened, whatever is said in this meeting stays in this meeting. The on-campus job that I have, I was able to get up on stage and dance with Young Gravy because I work for a very spirited position on campus, which I did not come into school applying for or think,
Right.
I really want to do this job. This sounds really glamorous. However, I have now been working in that position for like couple semesters now, and you know, an opportunity comes up where we have an artist that comes to campus to perform, and they're like, all right, someone needs to go up and like hype up the crowd and like dance with them. And so
Good
that's
for
what I do.
you.
I feel like I'm
Thank
being
you.
a celebrity right now. I remember watching that.
There's nothing like dancing. So there can be a lot of joy, right? It's a ton of work. It's really hard. Don't spend all your time taking online classes, because all it will do is increase your alienation. My students are so happy to be in class. You know, just being back from the whole COVID thing has had a huge effect on all of us and all of our students. So make sure, even if you're an introvert, it doesn't mean you can't enter a social club or some sort of cultural club that you get connected with. For me, it was going to readings and to theater, and to hearing poetry. I mean, that was my area. And it was just invigorating. It made me feel more alive. So that's part of your college experience. It's not just the classes. But you're right. I don't know how to teach people how to organize or manage their time. I can't function without my Google Calendar now. So I agree. You've got to look at the syllabus. Because every syllabus is different. So always know that. That's all I have to say. And I think the bewitching hour is upon us. Amanda, what do we do now?
I think we have time. I know Zoe wanted to say one thing, so we'll let her
Zoe, I'm
go.
sorry.
Yeah,
And then
sorry.
we'll
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Thing
as
about
soon
the teaching time management is actually in the peer tutoring center, where you can go get tutored in organic chemistry or calculus or whatever. We actually have tutors who work in time management. Like, that's actually something you can go get tutored in. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you, Zoe, because it is the hardest thing for students to do that, to organize their time and even to manage it during exams. So you know what that's like, because we're on this platform now called Brightspace, and some of you are being tested online. And that's its own sort of odious experience for you, but nonetheless, there's just different ways in which you can organize. You can get better at it too, even if you struggle at first. So, but thanks for mentioning that, Zoe. It's great.
Yeah, I really think that the panel did an amazing job.
Oh.
Your shares and your authenticity and all of the things that you do were really engaging and exciting for the audience. And for myself, I learned a lot about all the things you can do at Stony Brook.
Incredible.
So thank you so much also to Dr. Bona for moderating this evening's panel. Thank you to
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Our Stony Brook Sea Wolves.
Yes.
We really appreciate you. So we will end today's panel and wish you all the best of luck, both to the panel with your semester,
Yes.
the rest of your academic career at Stony Brook, but also all of our potential future Sea Wolves. We hope to see you on campus for a visit and a tour, or at an upcoming virtual session, or even better, next year, starting your first year, or as a transfer student, a second or third year at Stony Brook. So good luck to everybody and have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.